Awesome. Got it.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good morning. Welcome back, everyone. And we are very pleased to welcome defending champion Gary Woodland to the 2020 U.S. Open interview area. Gary is making his 10th career U.S. Open start. Gary, we're going to jump to the WebEx first. A number of the same question here. How does it feel to be the defending champion? And can you tell us anywhere fun that you took the trophy?
It feels great to be the defending champ, and it was nice to have that trophy. I would say a little longer than normal after one win. Obviously, U.S. Open being postponed, I had it a couple extra months. But with COVID then there as well, you didn't get to travel too many places. But walking through New York City with that trophy for media day afterwards was pretty cool. Taking it back home, taking it to a couple football games. Was pretty special. Anytime you get a hold a piece of trophy that your name's etched on forever is pretty cool. And just to share it more with my friends and family and my team just proves the hard work pays off, and that was very special for me.
Right here.
What's your comfort level on this course, and what's the learning curve been like? A lot of people haven't really played here. I think there were only 15 who played here in 06 who are in this field.
Yeah, the golf course is big. It's hard, but I think that's what you expect when you come to a major championship, and especially at U.S. Open. So I've heard a lot about Winged Foot. Obviously, I've worked with Butch, been around Butch for a long time. His dad was the head pro here. My college coach was the assistant pro here for a long time as well, under Butch's dad. So I've heard a lot about Winged Foot. I came up and played just over a year and a half ago to try to get familiar with it, and then I've been here since Saturday. So I don't know if you have too much to learn. I mean, the golf course is in front of you. There's no tricks to it. You just got to step up and hit good shots. The key this week is you got to drive the golf ball in the fairway. If you don't do that, you're going to be wedging out, and you're going to be trying to hit wedges close because you're not going to be able to advance it too far out of the rough. So for me this week, and what I've kind of put an emphasis on the last couple of weeks being home is driving the golf ball, and that's definitely going to be the key this week.
What's the hardest, just real quick, what's the hardest thing to learn about the course? Is it the greens, just the subtleties of the breaks and everything?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of slopes in the greens, so I think that's a huge advantage if you know how to work into some of those pins. There's a lot of slope in these greens where there's not a ton of pin placements, and I don't think the USGA is going to get too crazy. The golf course is hard enough, so if you can be able to utilize those slopes, control your distance, control into those slopes, and control the spin, that's going to be a massive advantage trying to save pars on a lot of these holes.
Right here to Ann.
Hi, Gary. Does your preparation change at all based on the previous U.S. Open and the high scores?
No. For me personally, I came in the same time I did last year, came in the weekend before trying to get, usually I come in the weekend before trying to beat the circus and beat the crowds on Monday, but, obviously with no fans, it's not that big a deal, but it was nice to get in here and get familiar with the golf course, get some sight lines. I think it was a little slower over the weekend. They had some rain last week, and I anticipate that firming up a little bit. But more than anything, it's just trying to get comfortable with my game, driving the golf ball in the fairway and trying to get it on the middle of the greens and attack from there.
We're going to go to the WebEx. Jason Sobel is asking, the U.S. Open used to be the major won by more of the short, accurate players, but in the past 4 years, it's been yourself, DJ, Brooks, kind of longer athletic guys. What's your theory as to why this has changed, and do you believe it will continue?
I mean, I think overall the game's kind of trending in that direction. You look what DJ's done. I don't think Boston really set up too much for a long hitter, and DJ just overpowered the thing. It was impressive what he did, and then you go to Chicago, which is a golf course I'd said was a pretty good prep for this week there at Olympia Fields. Big golf course, thick rough. You saw what DJ and John Rahm did that week. So, and then DJ goes to Atlanta, and that's the same thing. You drive the golf ball in the fairway at that place. So the game's kind of trended that way. I don't think last year, being Pebble Beach was a long golf course by any means, but on a shorter golf course, I didn't have to hit driver there either. So I was using my advantage with my iron play to my advantage and trying to attack that way. This week, it doesn't matter. I think if it firms up, some of the shorter hitters will be able to get the golf ball and play. But if it doesn't firm up, I mean, the golf course is so long, I would imagine some of the top long hitters are going to have a huge advantage.
Right here behind me.
Gary, following up on that question, is it two different tournaments from last year when you were able to go 13 under par, one of only 4 guys to be double digits under par, to this year where people are expecting it to be over par? And does this course, as long as it is, penalize the long hitters because of the rough?
No, I don't think the long hitters really ever get penalized because of rough, because I think you're going to have a huge advantage. Anytime you get the golf ball on the fairway, I'm going to be hitting wedges where guys are going to be hitting longer irons in there. So from that, I don't think so. And if I can have a chance, maybe if I get a decent lie with a wedge, I'm going to have a chance to get it on the green where a shorter hitter misses a fairway and they're not going to be able to advance a 7-iron. So I don't think that. The preparation is the same. The golf course, you anticipate being even par to over par, winning this golf tournament. You try to eliminate big numbers. If you get out of play, you try to wedge it back in and get it up and down with a wedge and take your bogey and, hopefully you can drive it in the fairway on the par fives and make some birdies. But you're trying to eliminate big numbers. Knowing par is a great score. So that becomes more of a mental test than anything. Staying patient. Bogeys are going to happen. Nobody's going to go bogey free, I would imagine, around this place. So taking your medicine when you can. And, hopefully you're driving the golf ball and your game's on fire and you're driving the golf ball in fairway and trying to get in the greens and make some fours.
Going to go to the WebEx briefly. What's the worst lie you've dealt with this week, and what was it like?
I played on Saturday. I was chipping. My caddy was throwing me balls back to me chipping, and we lost a ball for about 5 minutes. And it was right in front of me. We didn't find it until we stepped on it. So the golf ball can disappear pretty quickly. I was talking to the USA. I was glad they were bringing marshals out. Yesterday, there was talks of not having marshals the first couple practice rounds. Practice rounds would have been 10 hours out here trying to find golf balls. So the fact that we have marshals is going to help. Usually you hit it outside the ropes, too. You're hitting it in the crowds, and you got some trampled down lines. We don't have the benefit of that this week. So you're going to have to drive the golf ball and play. They do have progressive rough, but the progressive rough is so thick it drops to the bottom. So a huge key of keeping the golf ball out of that thick rough. And then when you do get in it, take your medicine, get it wedged out, and attack from the middle fairway.
Right here.
Gary, quick question about Tiger, who's going to be speaking right after you. You played with him last time he won at Zozo. I was just wondering, what did you see that day at Zozo, that week at Zozo, that maybe he's not quite been there since then?
That week at Zozo, his distance control was what it's always been, the best in the game. His iron play, his misses are always pin high, and I think that this week is a huge advantage. We played 36 holes together there. I guess we went without fans one day there as well with the weather, but his game there was sharp, top to bottom. Made the putts when he had to. Never really got in trouble. Kind of kept it in play, and it was impressive. I anticipate him doing pretty well this week. We kind of have the same deal. He's never won a major. He's never won a U.S. Open on a private golf course. So hopefully I can be the first one to beat him to that and talk a little bit to him about that. He's won. I was giving him a hard time and only winning 2, and he reminded me he's won 3, but they were all at public golf courses. So this place is brutal, but distance control is going to be a massive deal with the slopes in these greens, and there's nobody better at that than him.
Back to the WebEx. The U.S. Open has a reputation of being a demanding test. How do you embrace a challenge like that?
You enjoy it. You look forward to it. It's not every week we see this. I think a lot of guys will be looking forward to getting back to some typical setups in the next couple of weeks and making a lot of birdies. But, you look forward to the challenge. This isn't the norm, but you want to prove that whoever has the best game this week's going to win. That's not every week that the best player wins. This week, top to bottom, whoever's playing the best is going to win this golf tournament. And you want that to be yourself, and that's what you work for. That's what you strive for. So, hopefully my game's in a good spot, and I can go out there and prove that that's me.
All the way on the left.
Hey, Gary, yesterday you played with your fellow Jayhawk, Ryan Vermeer.
Yeah.
He's a pretty decorated career there.
Yeah.
What's it like to have another Jayhawk in the field? Doesn't happen all the time, and it sets his game.
It's awesome. Verm definitely, he's probably the best college player to ever play at Kansas, career-wise. And, he's played, I think, 4, maybe the last 5 PGA championships. So we played a lot of practice rounds together. When I was in school, he turned professional. He was still living in town. So I played with him a bunch back in the day. So it's great to have a former Jayhawk out here talking a little, about, how our football team's struggling and hopefully our basketball team's great again. So his game is great. I think for him it's believing he can play out here. He's obviously dominated the PGA section stuff, player of the year a year ago. So his game's good enough. It's just him believing that, not trying to do too much, not trying to, be something that he's not. Keep the golf ball in play and use his iron play and his short game to his advantage.
Right here to Rex.
GW, how long have you been working with Justin, and how does he say things a little bit differently than someone else?
Yeah, Justin and I, that's been a big change for me. I've obviously struggled really since we've been back from COVID, and that was a big change for me because I work better. You look back when I've had success, I work better getting my work done off-site. before the golf tournament. So when I get here, I can prepare. And with Pete being overseas, and with COVID and the travel restrictions, I just didn't get that. And I went a long time without. I don't think I'd seen. Maybe Phil Kenyon came over in February. I hadn't seen one of my coaches in an off week since then. So I was practicing hard, but just probably practicing the wrong things. And then when you show up at a golf tournament, it's hard to work with a coach because you're trying to get ready for a golf course. That's just not me. So bringing Justin in was a huge relief. He speaks like Butch. He worked around Butch for 9 years. Butch is still in communication. I still talk to Butch a lot. So I'm hearing a lot of the things I heard from Butch. Justin came to my house last week. We got some work in, which was the first time we've worked outside of a golf course or a golf tournament. So that just kind of freed me up, kind of communications back to similar stuff I was hearing before, and just kind of freeing me up and getting some of the bad stuff out of my head and coming out here this week with a little more confidence for sure.
We're going to hear Michael.
Thank you very much. Gary, how did that come about, you and Tiger talking about winning U.S. Opens on public golf courses?
I was helping Tiger. I was doing an outing for him in New York at Liberty National. He was wearing the green jacket. At the dinner, I had the trophy with me, giving him a hard time that his name was only on there twice, and he reminded me quickly that it's on there 3 times. But anytime you can spend time with him and try to pick his brain, I was able to do that. Before the President's Cup, spending time with him, working out, training, practicing. There's nobody's better mind to pick than his, so that was pretty cool.
Does the atmosphere feel any different when you come to a Wingfoot versus a Pebble Beach or a true public course like Torrey?
I think for me, more than anything, without fans the last couple of months, it's been, when I haven't played great, it's tough sometimes to get energy and get things moving. Coming back here, being defending champ, I have a lot of energy, a lot of good emotion, I think, that I've kind of struggled with the last couple of months, so I'm excited to be back here. Obviously, Pebble Beach is an iconic golf course. Anytime you can win a U.S. Open, if you dream about it, you might dream about winning at Pebble because we go there on a regular basis. So that was special for me last year. But this week, I think I'm excited that being defending champ, I have some emotion, I have some energy, and hopefully I can ride that.
Right behind me.
Yeah. Gary, the risk reward out here is huge. And when you're game planning, how much are you factoring that in, meaning driver versus 3-wood versus something else? And at what point do you have to maybe throw some of that away and just go with whatever?
A ton. I played, DJ and I played yesterday, and there's just a lot of holes. We were hitting driver and 2-iron on the same holes that are 500 yards because it doesn't matter if you're not in the fairway. You're probably better off with a 4-iron from the middle of the fairway than you are a 7-iron from the rough because you're not going to be able to advance that 7-iron to the green. So anytime, whatever works for you to get the golf ball in play is going to be a huge advantage. And if it does firm up like you anticipate, 2-irons and 3-woods are going to get out there plenty far. We're playing the back edge of every tee box, which I don't anticipate being tipped out. So whatever is more comfortable for you to get the golf ball in the fairway and working it into some of these slopes in the fairway, because even the shorter holes, there's a lot of slopes in these fairways that you got to be able to work the golf ball. Even if you get a short hole, maybe driver is the play to get it up there next to the green so you can chip it on. There's a lot of game planning, and I think that's going to be the beauty around this place is there's options for you.
And could I follow up? I know DJ at one point, I think at the PGA, put a 7-wood in the bag.
Yeah.
Do you have something other?
We both, I've always carried a 5-wood for thick rough like this. Typically, I would play a 5-wood. DJ and I both had 2-iron in our play yesterday, just from the standpoint you can't advance the wood out of the rough. It's too thick. And usually that's why you have the 7-wood in or the 5-wood is for me to chop it out of the rough and advance it. It's easier than an iron. It's too thick. You don't have that advantage this week. So whatever you're going to hit more off the tee box, which I feel more comfortable hitting a 2-iron off the tee box, that's going to be the play this week for me.
Last 2 questions starting on the left.
John Rahm was just saying that he thinks the weather this week is already better than it was at Pebble. How do you think a September U.S. Open is going to change things, if at all?
Yeah, I think that weather's going to change. It's supposed to be pretty chilly this weekend, so I think we'll get back to some of that weather we had and the cool temperatures at Pebble last year. It'll be warm on Thursday, and then it'll be a little chilly this weekend. Lows are in the 40s, so you get an early tee time. The golf ball's not going to go very far, and this golf course will probably play a little tougher. But all in all, I'm glad they just didn't cancel it. I'm glad they postponed it. The USGA was very resilient in that deal. Obviously, coming to New York, where we're in Westchester, which at one point was a big epicenter for COVID, and they've done a great job turning things around. And I'm glad that I wish the members, it's a great membership here, and I wish the fans in New York City would be able to be out here. But hopefully we can put on a good show for them on TV.
Rex.
Yesterday when you and DJ teed off, Mike was on the first tee. Did he say anything to you, or did he just watch out of curiosity?
He's said hello. It's good to see you again. Just hello. I hadn't seen him obviously since last year.
Thanks.
And sorry, one last question. During your time with Butch, did he give you any specific insight on Wingfoot?
Just how big and tough it is. I wish Butchie was here this week. Obviously, a lot of history with his family, with his dad being the head pro, his brother. It's just Butchie has been very special to me, and he's obviously very special to this place, and this place has a big piece in his heart. But like he always told me, there's no tricks to this place. You just got to go out and hit good golf shots. He always told me it's set up well for me, and I'm going to take that with me this week.
All right. Thanks, Gary.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.